we're celebrating and we're really honoring the memory and the legacy, the powerful legacy of Mr. Dick Gregory. Mr. Gregory made his appearance at the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers on this very stage on November 21st, 2014. And I'll tell you the story of the trip that it was to get Dick Gregory here. I heard somebody called me up and said, Dick Gregory's gonna be at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak. And so I checked it out and they were only charging $20 for the tickets. And I'm thinking, well, we only charge $20 too, maybe this. So I got all on Facebook, I'm going to Mark Ridley's and I'm gonna get Dick Gregory to come to the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers. I bought a couple of tickets, went up there, I had a little bag and it had a card in it. Mr. Gregory, thank you for your service to America. I had a Michigan organic apple in there, and orange, you know, because he's a health nut and everything. And I went there and I went over and gave it to him. I took a picture with him and then I put it on Facebook and I figured, okay, all right, well, I did my duty. If he doesn't ever call and if he ever never comes, who would blame me? I mean, I can't get Dick Gregory. I had no money. I was broke. I couldn't even pay my phone bill at the moment. And so I just let it be like that. And then my friend Mark Sweetman, a fellow comedian, he says, well, do you still want Dick Gregory's number? Because Mark will give it to you. And I said, yeah, give me his number. I sat on Dick Gregory's number for 2 months because I was scared to call him. But I was doing a seminar called Causing the Miraculous. And our homework was push past where you normally stop. And I was stopped at calling Dick Gregory. I had it, I couldn't afford it, you know, plus I'm intimidated by it. I'm standing outside of Avalon Bakery on Willis, you know, because I love to get those pocket pitas. James, please come back. Yes, and so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna push past where I normally stop, and I called up, and shockingly, yes, we would love to. So I had to figure out how I'm gonna get the money, you know, and I borrowed it, and we filled out the contracts, and it said you can't do an appearance, you know, within, you know, however many miles and however many weeks, you know, after doing this. Then I see where my friend John Gregory called. He says, Dick Gregory is going to be at the music hall 1 week before he's at your show. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. So my intention was to have Dick Gregory tell a story on this stage. And it was, you know, was not going to be any competition. So I called him up, and he called back. And when he called, he says, "Hi, this is Dick Gregory. How's your family?" And I said, "Well, I'm gonna have to stand up to take your call because this is like it." And so he went on and told me about all this, you know, his conspiracy theories. Barack Obama was in office, and he just went on and went on. Then he said, "Well, let's work this out. What do you want me to do?" I said, "Can you postpone your show until like after our show?" He said, "No, girl, they paying me thousands of dollars." I can't pay $1,000. So I said, well, okay. He said, this is what we'll do. You don't have to pay me the other half of the money, and I'll do any radio show you hook up. So I hooked up, you know, a bunch of radio shows. So I got to, you know them because the first radio show I didn't go on, and they didn't mention the show because they were like intimidated and overwhelmed like I would have been. So I started going on all the radio shows. Now at the time, I was diagnosed with stage 0 non-invasive breast cancer, and I was scheduled for a lumpectomy and then radiation and tamoxifen. So out of these radio interviews, Dick Gregory started to talk to me about health, which made me postpone getting that lumpectomy. And I'll tell you part 2 of the story, you know, in between. I'll just, you know, because it's, you know, it's a long story till we get to the tribute in the second half. All right. Dick Gregory and I were going on all these radio interviews. We went to Dwayne Parham's house. He had his radio show in his dining room. So Dick Gregory is, you know, answering the questions and whatnot, and he's helping out. It's like, so where am I going to be on November 21st, Satori? And, you know, helping out with the promotions. And then he gets on his rant, you know, and he's like, white people this and white people that, white people. And I said, well, Mr. Gregory, are there any good white people? And he goes, How could you ask me something like that? I'm getting off this radio show. I'm hanging up this phone. And me and Dwayne is panicking like, and I'm like, I know he ain't gonna get off the phone because I've been on other radio interviews with him. Dick Gregory talked 2 more hours, okay? And now I understand the importance of him doing all these radio shows and all these appearances, because now on YouTube, he's alive from the 1960s all the way till now. And that's the beauty of digital. That's the beauty of coming up here and telling your own story, because it's going to get preserved by 248 pencils. We're going to put it up on YouTube. And I'm particularly interested in teaching the craft to underserved communities and kids who normally don't have a voice, because only you can tell your story. Other people try and they misrepresent only you, but if you don't know how to tell it, you're not going to be able to get it across, and that's a powerful communication, storytelling. So we're on the radio show and we do all the appearances, and it's packed in here. I mean, we have a gentleman that comes, he's a fire marshal, and he says, well, people are all on the stairs. Michael Collier was here, a friend of mine, comedian from LA with a big old fur coat and 2 bodyguards guarding it. They were up there. And then I got Dale Brown to guard Dick Gregory's body. And it was a magical night, you know. I was so happy that he was here and that he was giving of himself so generously, because I think Charles Wright closed and he was still up here talking. But he must have known that he had so much more to say, so much more to leave, you know? But Cheryl and I, we picked him up from the airport. I'll let Cheryl tell that story later when we picked him up from the airport, because I said, Cheryl, he probably don't have that much luggage because he came in at 2 and he was leaving the next morning on Saturday. Dick Gregory had like 3 bags. I said, well, I'm like this tall. I'm like, Dick, what? That's my research. That's research. So I wonder where those suitcases are right now. They probably worth $1 million.
Okay, Satori started to talk about Dick Gregory. When he came to town, she and I went to the airport to pick him up. Anybody that knows me knows I drive like a bat out of hell, but I can drive my ass off. I don't have accidents, and I stay out of people's way. We pick him up at the airport. I'm sitting outside. She goes in to get him, and it takes a while. Then they come out, and he comes out walking real slow, dragging his bags, and I'm standing at the trunk of my car waiting for him, and I kind of like drop my face and give him my eyes. So he drops his face and gives me his eyes as he's walking toward me, and I'm staring at him, and he's staring at me. And just as he did to her, he asked me, how's your family? Oh, yeah, okay. We get in the car. I'm driving. Like I said, I drive pretty fast. Satori is putting on brakes and looking crazy. She trying to make me slow down, and Dick is hollering, no, don't make her nervous. He's in the back seat. I can't see him. She says his eyes are bugged or closed or something like that. And I'm telling everybody, just sit back and hold on, damn it, and let me drive. Because I can't help the way I drive. But I'm a good driver. Drive better than most men. Okay, I used to be a chauffeur. That's how I got my first job in entertainment. I used to drive for One of the Temptations. So, on the road, not around town. On the road, so I know what I'm doing. So, Dick Gregory was booked at the Book Cadillac. We put him at one of the best hotels in town, or the best hotel in town. And we check him in, and we treat him like the king that he is. And he fusses at us. If you ask him the wrong question, he will light your ass up. So you have to be very careful the questions that you asked Mr. Gregory, because he will definitely give you an answer, and not always the one you want. So we're going to move forward with Dick Gregory.
Mr. Dick Gregory.
I'll be saying something about white folks tonight, and you white folks don't get uncomfortable. I will not be talking about you. And I see this white lady and this little girl, couldn't be no more than 5 years old. They looking at me, and So children are honest. She walked up to me and said, excuse me, your name Dick Gregory? I said, yep. He said, my mama said you got a tail. So I said, yeah, tell her I got a tail, but tell her mine's in the front. Especially you black folks, you've been in some old white racist job, most of you didn't even know it was like that. And you want to come home and you want to be a man. They call you everything but a man. And you say to your son, goddamn bomb your daddy, I'll kill you, nigga, this is my house. Oh, you're not mad at me. You mad at them white folks that all you did was smile. How you got wisdom when a cop can shoot your son in the back of the head and you don't do nothing about it, huh? Because I'm fixing to open up a black airline, and I'm not going to be like most black folks. You know this is a black airline going to be named Prema Air. And my motto, we leaves late, but we get you there on time. Anytime you tell a black child you got to be twice as smart as a white child, they hear you saying they stupid. Huh? Stupid. We got the worst blizzard. I'm out there shoveling the snow, and this white woman and her husband walks up to me. Excuse me, boy. Said, would you take care of ours? That house right next there? Yeah. He said, what do you get for doing that? I said, I get to sleep with the woman inside. So I looked at this old lady and said, you want me to do yours now? I sit here and I realize there will come a day when people just coming up talking about their experience. See, it's one thing you read what the New York Times says about me or the Washington Post, what all they bias. It's another thing when you hear me stand here and talk, not being interpreted by anyone.
To walk into a room that's packed. First time I ever been to a storyteller, but that's what the planet is about. Every religion could not survive if it wasn't about storytellers. Families couldn't survive if it wasn't about storytellers. But to come in there and hear people tell us their story, real stories, nothing made up, real. That's what we witnessed last night. So again, I just say thank you, thank you, thank you.
The little cell phone that you saw, that was me doing the cell phone. I was taking him back to the airport, and I said, can you give a testimony? And he goes, yeah, sure. So, we get in a conversation. We're talking about 12 years a slave, and he's talking about, they were from London or England, and and I'm like, well, I really thought that 12, I'm getting ready to engage with him in an intellectual, well, I thought 12 years, nobody care what you think, huh? No. Okay. Now, I had asked him would he do the testimonial. He had said yes, and now I'm thinking, oh no, now he's not going to. So anyway, we get to the airport, and we're waiting for the plane or whatever, and we get some breakfast. He gets his little healthy meal. I get my little healthy meal because I'm on my journey. I'm on my journey to cancer-free, right? And so that's when he gives a testimony, and I'm so happy. When he gets back to Washington, D.C., first of all, he offered me tickets to see Chris Tucker the next night at the Fox. And I was so exhausted. I said, I don't think I can, I don't know, but okay, if you want to give me the comms, fine. I knew the next day I couldn't go, so I gave them to a friend. So he calls me up. You gave them tickets to Chris Tucker to a friend? I took them tickets from Terry. Terry's were opening for, and I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Gregory. I said that I gave them to somebody. So then, when we put together this his show, we released it in 4 parts in Black History Month, and I called him to say that's what I wanted to do. And he said, wait a minute, I got to deal with HBO, and then he had me in tears. Literally, I was sitting there. He goes, so what you gonna do? I said, I'm releasing it in February. He said, all right, good family, see you later. I'm like, so that's my trip with Dick Gregory. His wife Lillian is wonderful. just a wonderful woman. So we have lost a great man.